Hey guys, we're going to be talking about properties involving rational exponents. This is the next to last section that we're going to be looking at here today, and the rules for this apply exactly the same as what you've already learned. It's just the fact that it has fractions, which we hate, but that's okay. We're gonna be able to get through it. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Just look at some examples here real quick, and then we'll look at this number one. So remember, if we had like x to the sixth times x to the fourth, let's say. Remember that when we multiply exponents, that we actually end up adding those exponents, okay? So when I multiply exponents, I actually add, which means that this would become x to the 10th, okay? Not x to the 24th. You don't actually multiply them, you actually add them. So it's really no difference when we're looking here at rational exponents. The same properties apply. There is still multiplication between those two numbers. But what I need to do here, instead of multiplying these fractions, I'm actually going to add them. So what I'm going to end up with, I'm just going to rewrite it here, is x to the 2/5 times x to the 1/5. And again, it follows exactly the same rules that we had up here. And so we would end up adding these fractions. So you remember when you add fractions, you keep the denominator the same, but the numerator is the only thing that really changes, okay? And you got to have common denominators. So again, these would both have to be 5 in order for them to be able to be added. And so we would have 2/5 plus 1/5, which would in fact equal x to the 3/5, okay? So as you can see, that would be one of my answer choices down here at the bottom right there, okay? So now let's look at another one real quick, and I'm not actually going to answer this one. I'm just going to kind of show you what you need to do. Again, you would have a similar situation here as you have already seen before, where I'm going to take my coefficients, and I'm going to, again, I've got multiplication here. So I'm going to multiply those out first. So I would have 2 times 5, which would equal 10. And then the other part of this that I'm going to have to do is I would actually have x to the 1/4 times x to the 3/8, okay? And remember, when you do this, when you multiply exponents, you actually add, okay? So I'm still going to end up with 10x, but now you say, well, I don't really remember how to add fractions or how to do that. Well, there's a tool I want to show you real quick that could be really helpful with this. So you see, I've got 1/4 that needs to be added to 3/8. So if you look at your Desmos graphing calculator, you can actually put in 1/4. Sorry, I put 11/4 for some reason. We can fix it. Notice how it goes ahead and changes that to a fraction for me. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my addition symbol. This is a lot easier to do on anything else. Notice here again, I've got 1/4 plus 3/8. Okay. 1/4 plus 3/8. Notice it went ahead and gave me an answer, but you'll notice my answer is a decimal. If you'll notice right over here, see in this general area, I can click that and it will go ahead and change that to a fraction for me. So I can go back and forth between a decimal or a fraction answer. So I know then that my answer here needs to be 5/8. All right, I've lost my pencil somehow. We'll get that back. So now I have 10x to the 5/8, okay? And again, that should be an answer that's here as well. All right, let's go ahead and go down to number 4, because here again, we have a power, notice, being raised to a power. So you will remember when we talked about that when you have a power being raised to a power, that you actually need to multiply, okay? So this is the same thing as x to the 1/3 times, or being raised to the 3/5. So again, I need to multiply these two numbers together. Remember, when you multiply fractions, you simply just multiply straight across, okay? So this would literally be 1 times 3, which would be 3, and 3 times 5, which will be 15. Now the question is, can that particular fraction be simplified? Okay, remember, in mathematics, you're always trying to get to the simplest answer. Okay, so x raised to the 3/15. Again, if I go back to my Desmos calculator, I can very quickly go ahead and put in, let me look at those again real quick, 3/15. If I go ahead and put in 3 divided by 15 in here, notice it gives me 0.2, but I could go ahead and click my fraction button, and it will go ahead and tell me that that is 1/5, in fact. So I know that this also equals x to the 1/5, and that should be one of my answers that I see here. Okay. Last but certainly not least, let's go down and look at number 7. You only have 9 of these, so I'm trying not to do all of them. I know you'd like me to do all of them, but I don't really want to do that because it's not going to help you any at all. But remember, when you are dividing exponents, for example, if you had x to the 6th divided by x to the 3rd, then what do you do when you divide exponents? When you divide exponents, you actually subtract them. So I'm going to end up with 6 minus 3, which is x to the 3rd. Okay, so it's exactly the same when you have this situation here. You're just going to, with the same problem, you're just going to subtract these. So what you end up with really is x to the 3/7 minus x to the 1/7. Okay, you're going to subtract these exponents, and that is going to leave me with 3/7 minus 1/7. Remember, as long as these are common denominators, this can be subtracted. So I have 7 as a denominator. Now I have 3 minus 1, which is 2. So my answer here would be x to the 2/7. Okay. Your other questions are really, really similar to this. Some of them may have some numbers. Again, just remember which one goes on top, which one goes on bottom. Think about the fact of whether I have more x's on top or more x's on bottom. Okay. And again, use Desmos as your tool. Again, this is a Desmos graphing calculator that really, it can graph and do all that other stuff, but it does a lot of operations like fractions and that stuff as well. Okay. So hopefully you're not going to have any issues. Again, there's only 9 questions in this form, so I don't think you're going to have any issues at all. Okay. So good luck. If you need some help, just make sure to get with either me or Miss Wheeler, and we will be glad to give you as much help as we possibly can. Thanks.